Hi, welcome to That's Ready Mysterious, the show where every bite-sized mystery is rooted in reality. I'm your host, Kelly with an I, leading you through a maze of short stories that are filled with perplexing true mysteries. From missing people to unsolved crimes to eerie coincidences, each episode invites you to step into the unknown and question the ordinary. These tales aren't from fiction, they're stories history hasn't solved. Whether you seek suspense, love curious facts, or are just drawn to stories that linger in your mind, That's Ready Mysterious is your weekly passport into the truly strange, baffling, and unforgettable. Tune in and let the mysteries begin. Transcripts and references for all episodes can be found at that'sreadymysterious.wordpress.com. No apostrophe and no exclamation point. Today's tale is about Nicholas Barclay. Bart Layton, director of the 2012 film The Imposter, said, "There are not many true stories which are so unusual and so compelling." What happened to Nicholas Barclay? Nicholas Patrick Barclay was born on December 31st, 1980. He disappeared at the age of 13 on June 10th, 1994. Nicholas was on his way home from a basketball game held in the neighborhood park with his friends. Supposedly, he called home for a ride, but his brother, Jason Dollarhide, who didn't want to wake their mother because she worked late and slept during the day, told him to walk home. The park was only 1.5 miles or a little under 2.5 kilometers from his home in San Antonio, Texas. Nicholas had blonde hair and blue eyes. He stood about 4 feet 8 inches or just under 1.5 meters tall and weighed about 80 pounds or about 36 kilograms. Nicholas was wearing a white t-shirt, purple pants, black sneakers, and was carrying a pink backpack. He had a violent temper and what some described as an attitude problem. He had a juvenile record for breaking into a convenience store, stealing a pair of shoes, and threatening a teacher. Nicholas, who went by Nicky, was a troubled teen, evidenced by the fact that he already had 3 tattoos. He had the letter J tattooed on his left shoulder, the letter T tattooed on his left hand, and the letters L and N tattooed on his outer left ankle. Nicholas had only $5 in his pocket, which wouldn't have been enough for transportation or room and board. It seemed like he must have hitchhiked out of town, taking no personal items with him. Nicholas regularly disappeared for days at a time, so when he went missing, his family wasn't immediately concerned. They didn't report him missing for 3 days. His family was involved in substance abuse. Nicholas was to have had a court date the day after he disappeared, June 14th, to see if he was going to a home for juvenile delinquents. Because of this, the family thought he must have run away to avoid the sentence. The police opened an investigation, but there were almost no leads to follow. Nicholas's case never made the news. 3 months after Nicholas disappeared, on September 25th, 1994, the police received a phone call from Jason Dollarhide. Jason said that he saw Nicholas trying to break into the garage. By the time police responded, the boy was gone. The police and Jason's mother, Beverly Dollarhide, did not believe that Jason actually saw Nicholas. 3 years later, in October of 1997, Nicholas's family received a call saying that Nicholas had been found. The caller said that they had found a missing U.S. boy. The caller was calling from a youth shelter in Linares, Spain. Eventually, the police connected him with the National Center for Missing Exploited Children, or NCMEC, who suggested Nicholas may be the boy that they had found. The NCMEC had faxed over a photo of the missing boy. The caller said that Nicholas had been found in a Spanish village and his sister, Carrie Gibson, flew to Spain to get him. Gibson brought pictures with her to help her determine whether or not the boy was her brother. He identified things in the pictures which helped her make her decision. Nicholas's sister had also forced him to remember things by telling him things so he wouldn't forget. She identified the boy that they had found as her brother. Nicholas was then flown back to the United States to reunite him with his family. He arrived in the United States on October 18, 1997. The 16-year-old boy that was returned to the family was dark-haired, with brown eyes, and spoke with a European accent. He was remarkably calm, which made people around him uneasy. Beverly Dollarhide insisted they had found her son. Others, including Nicholas's uncle, were suspicious. Nicholas refused to provide fingerprints or a blood sample and refused to name his kidnappers. Nicholas explained that he had been kidnapped on his way home from the park. He was then put on a plane for Europe and forced into human trafficking. Eventually, he escaped and made it to safety. He claimed that the kidnappers had changed his eye color and dyed his hair to hide his identity. He also said he was forced to learn a new language and change his accent. Beverly Dollarhide said that Nicholas didn't remember things about his home life due to his trauma. She thought he was really messed up based on his appearance. Nicholas's story made Charlie Parker, the private investigator the family had hired, suspicious. He wondered why the kidnappers would go to the trouble to change Nicholas's eye color and how they managed to do it. He also noticed the personality change in Nicholas, which could have been due to trauma. However, trauma usually makes people withdrawn, and Nicholas was not withdrawn. Parker also noticed that Nicholas seemed more mature than your average 16-year-old. He asked for a picture of Nicholas's ear to identify him. The ears did not match. Parker thought he had found a spy. He couldn't think of any other reason for someone to pretend to be Nicholas. Jason Dollarhide also seemed to believe that Nicholas wasn't his brother. On November 4th, 1997, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, or FBI, interviewed Nicholas. The FBI flew him to Houston for a forensic interview because of his trauma. They told him the purpose of the interview was to determine what happened and to find his abductors. The actual purpose of the interview was to determine his identity. The FBI agents noticed that Nicholas didn't look like he was 16 years old. He appeared nervous and uncomfortable. He was incapable of speaking English without an accent, so the FBI determined he could not be Nicholas. Nicholas told them that he was taken overseas by the military. The FBI immediately called Nicholas's sister to tell her that the boy was not Nicholas and that she didn't have to take him home. She said that was okay, but she showed up anyway. She wanted him so badly to be Nicholas. In February of 1998, the FBI got a court order to take fingerprints and blood from Nicholas to identify him. Beverly Dollarhide refused to go anywhere with the FBI when they came to get the DNA, which caused the FBI to believe that she was hiding something. The boy also became suspicious. On March 3, 1998, the FBI received a call from Spain identifying the boy they had found. The boy who claimed to be Nicholas was Frédéric Pierre Bourdin, a 23-year-old man from France. Bourdin had grown up in a home without love and took to a life of crime. Interpol knew him as a chameleon and had been looking for him for a long time. Bourdin was a French criminal and serial imposter. He spent his whole life impersonating missing children. Bourdin was believed to have used at least 500 false identities. A Spanish police officer had suggested that he resembled Nicholas Barclay, so he dyed his hair blonde and had young girls in custody with him tattoo him to match Nicholas. Bourdin kept up the charade for 3.5 months, fooling the Spanish authorities, the FBI, and even Nicholas Barclay's family. In 1998, when Parker asked to interview Jason, who was beginning to suspect that Bourdin wasn't actually Nicholas, Jason died of a drug overdose, which Parker found suspicious. Jason's death eventually revealed Bourdin to the family. That same year, Bourdin admitted to Parker who he was, claiming to be confessing because he was scared of what the family would do to him. The authorities arrested Bourdin, who pleaded guilty to fraud and perjury. He admitted to posing as Nicholas after getting his information from the NCMEC. Bourdin was sentenced to 6 years, twice the recommended time, for passport fraud and forgery. After Bourdin's conviction, the authorities began investigating Nicholas's family regarding his disappearance. They thought the family may be involved. In 1994, Beverly Dollarhide was addicted to heroin, but she went to rehab. She passed one polygraph regarding her son, but failed the second. Polygraphs are not accurate detector of lies, however, and cannot be used in courts. Bourdain said that the family's grief over Nicholas was not real. He claimed to have known Nicholas in Spain and said that the boy was alive. He later said that he had evidence Nicholas was dead and later denied having known him at all. While Bourdain was in custody, it was suggested that the family must have something to hide. Why else would they accept Bourdain as their own? Bourdain said that the family murdered Nicholas. Bourdain said that Nicholas's family accepted him knowing that he was an imposter. Charlie Parker agreed. His theory was that Nicholas's rage eventually prompted another family member to kill him. The police had been called to the home more than once, and the family was vocal about not liking Nicholas's attitude. The timing of Jason's death was seen as an admission of guilt. Despite the fact that there was no body and no confession, Parker believes that Barclay's family were involved in his disappearance. Frederick Bourdain said, "I don't have any confessions. There's no body. Murder is very simple and very basic. I think something happened inside that house, but I can't prove it." When he initially was claiming to be Nicholas, Bourdain called Spanish police and claimed to be a husband and wife tourist couple that had found a child. He didn't speak much to police, trying to convince them that he was a traumatized child. He told them that he was an American who ran away. He said that he wanted to contact his family on his own and told the police to leave him in the office overnight. Then he called around to different police stations and told them he was a policeman from Spain who had found a child from the United States. Eventually, he was put into a children's home, which he says was all he wanted. He wanted to feel loved. Then the police tried to reunite him with his family. Beverly Dollarhide said that she thought someone had offered Nicholas a ride on the day he disappeared and that he got into a car. Nicholas's sister described Nicholas as a street-smart city boy. When Gibson went to get him in Spain, Bourdain was sure she would recognize that he wasn't her brother, but she recognized his nose as Nicholas's. She said that she knew Nicholas wouldn't be the same person that she knew after all the trauma he had experienced. In October 2003, Bourdain was deported to France. 3 months later, he tried to steal the identity of a 14-year-old boy, Leo Bally. What happened to Nicholas Barclay? Was his family involved in his disappearance? Did he run away? Why did his family accept Frederick Bourdain as the missing boy? What do you think? Thank you for joining me on our adventure through today's mystery. The stories that That's Ready Mysterious covers are often stranger than fiction. If you enjoyed today's tale, subscribe to make sure you never miss a story that challenges the ordinary and reveals the mysterious. Until next time, keep questioning and remember the world is full of mysteries yet to be explored.